Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Marvel just released all the episodes for Wonder Man. This will be my video for the ending, how it sets him up, Simon Williams, for the future of the MCU, the big reboot that they're doing after Avengers Secret Wars, how it ties in with the rest of Marvel Phase 6 movies and TV shows right now, because he is the latest of many West Coast Avengers characters that they've introduced before Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars, and he's one of the few mutants that they've introduced inside the MCU naturally in the way they just introduced Miss Marvel as a mutant and Namor as a mutant. I know there's going to be a ton of questions about this too. Mutants inside the MCU, because that's basically the direction we're headed after Avengers Secret Wars, is the mutant era of the MCU. So careful for spoilers if you have not seen Wonder Man yet, because we'll be talking about the really important parts. During the finale, Trevor Slattery reveals to him that he had been arrested by Damage Control after trying to come back to Hollywood in the United States after the events of the Shang-Chi movie. Agent Cleary, who returns from Spider-Man No Way Home, the Miss Marvel series, is a major character in the series, tries to force Trevor to help him entrap Wonder Man because Damage Control needs to justify the taxpayer expense of the Supermax prison that they introduced during the She-Hulk series in California. Congress is threatening to cut Damage Control's operating budget, meaning that most of the agents would all lose their jobs. During the events of the series, the Damage Control prison is only half full. The series is meant to take place after the events of the Fantastic Four movie, but before Avengers Doomsday and before Spider-Man Brand New Day. So all the Damage Control agents are creating every possible excuse to lock up anybody that they can put in the special prison as a way to justify their existence so they don't get fired. So they treat them as the antagonists of the series. There are a lot of real-life parallels that you can draw during the series. Probably the best comp would be like a version of Doge going through the US budget and seeing Damage Control is incredibly inefficient the way it spends money and cuts a ton of its budget, firing a bunch of agents. Agent Cleary had been building a case against Simon Williams' Wonder Man that believes he has evidence that he has powers because of a couple accidents that he had caused, and thinks that this is the perfect case to help him keep his job at Damage Control. During the series, he bends over backwards to make it seem like Wonder Man is a terrorist and a threat to national security in order to justify his actions. In order to do this, he threatens Trevor Slattery with sending him back to jail for his Mandarin sentence from Iron Man 3 because he had been broken out of Seagate Prison before his previous sentence was finished by Wenwu in The Real Ten Rings, then held hostage for years until Shang-Chi freed him during that movie, and then they arrested him on his way back to the United States.
Again, I had my trial, I went to jail.
I never finished your sentence.
Not my fault.
No one cares.
The reason why Cleary decides to use Trevor specifically to try and get Simon Williams is because Simon Williams is an actor in Hollywood, and he comes up with the idea to use another actor, Trevor Slattery, to just entrap him. Trevor becomes very close with him, and they become good friends, and he regrets his actions in getting him caught, potentially by Damage Control, so he takes the blame for an explosion that he causes Wonder Man to make, becoming his Mandarin character again from Iron Man 3, so that the public will think that he did it because he releases this video online taking blame for the explosion. Agent Cleary knows that he's faking it just to take the fall for Wonder Man, but allows him to do it because Cleary still needs to make an arrest of any kind in the case in order to keep his job. This is why he sends Trevor to the Supermax prison in the Yucca Valley, because it's still only half full and they need to justify its existence, so they just need to put anybody, like warm bodies of any kind, in the prison to make it seem like Damage Control is an effective agency and they deserve their budget. Simon Williams eventually gets the lead role in the Wonder Man movie that the MCU version of Hollywood is making with the Von Kovic director. You probably recognize him as the Baravian president from the Superman movie. He's like a Steven Spielberg type of director, very famous, very lauded inside the MCU. They imply that the movie reboot that they do is extremely successful, and he'll go on to do more big movies eventually. Wonder Man's day job in the comics is basically to be a Hollywood actor when he's not fighting with the Avengers or other superhero teams. Within the MCU, the backstory they're going with is that the Wonder Man character was originally a fictional superhero from a popular 1980s movie, but the actor who played him during that movie was just a regular actor. He didn't have special powers. For the most part, the series treats a lot of the Wonder Man comics and the MCU in general as if Marvel Studios in real life had made a TV series like Seth Rogen's The Studio, which parodies Hollywood studios making movies and TV shows, so the series is sort of Marvel making fun of itself. It is very meta Deadpool style. Even though it references the Wonder Man comics a lot, it changes a lot about his backstory. They reference things like superhero fatigue. A lot of real-world actors are now canon because they mention them during the series.
He found my price, Wonder Man. Everybody has one.
At the very end of the finale, after the Wonder Man movie is released incredibly successfully, he enacts an elaborate plan to infiltrate the damage control prison using his acting skills. It takes him months. It's a big plan, but eventually is able to free Trevor Slattery and escape with him using his powers in a very public way. Now, when he's on his way to Trevor, walking past all the cells, you do see other supervillains potentially in those cells, but it's a little too blurry to tell who it is, which characters those are. Maybe the producers and the writers will reveal that in a couple days. When he flies out of the prison with Trevor, they make it seem like it's the first time he's flown and the first time he's carried someone with him as he flew. Wonder Man can fly in the comics. He has many powers in the comics. We'll get to that in a second. Agent Cleary realizes it was him, Simon Williams, Wonder Man, who broke Trevor out, but then the series, boom, cuts to black, ends. There's no post-credit scene, no special Avengers Doomsday teaser or anything like that, like most traditional Marvel series would. Right after the series was released, the showrunner and the producer, who is Daniel Destin Cretton, who just directed Spider-Man Brand New Day, he also directed the Shang-Chi movie. This is also why Trevor was a big part of the series too, because he wanted to do a series with Trevor, and Marvel was already doing a Wonder Man series, so they combined the Trevor series with the Wonder Man series, and you get the TV series that we just got. They said that if they do wind up doing a season 2, Marvel hasn't absolutely confirmed that yet, they might do a season 2 if it does well enough, Wonder Man would wind up making a bargain with Agent Cleary and Damage Control that would allow him to stay out of prison if he worked for them as an asset, because he definitely broke the law, breaking Trevor out of prison, like he's in big trouble right now. During the series, Agent Cleary had said that Wonder Man is either a dangerous threat to national security or potentially a great asset that could help them because of his powers. So you can see how this works into Season 2. In order for Wonder Man to stay out of prison, it only makes sense for him to pull jobs for Damage Control, capturing other supervillains for them to lock up. And a Season 2 would likely have Damage Control making him infiltrate supervillain organizations using his acting skills, kind of like Batman Matches Malone situation, where he'd go incognito with his Matches Malone disguise to infiltrate the Mafia or capture other villains that he's trying to track down. They've already revealed that Wonder Man is not supposed to be in Avengers Doomsday or Secret Wars. They treat the series as extremely standalone, so much so that they could never reference him again in any of the future TV shows or movies, and it wouldn't be weird, like it wouldn't change the MCU or create any big plot holes or anything like that. Or they could cross him over with the new Avengers, the other heroes, the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, and it would also totally make sense. They could even put him on a West Coast Avengers team if they wanted.
I love Captain America.
He's just like a regular dude who can throw a shield, right?
Generally, the series does a really good job of giving Marvel the room to do whatever they want to with him in the future if they decide to bring him back. Currently, there's no plans for him to come back anywhere yet. Marvel is just waiting to see how the series performs with general audiences. It is currently getting a lot of glaze from early reviewers. I didn't see the series earlier or anything like that, but you can see how industry people who work in or around Hollywood, would enjoy the series way more because it goes so deep into the actual craft of acting, like it is a series made for theater kids. The reason why it makes more sense to bring him back in a couple years after Avengers Secret Wars and the Marvel reboot they're pulling is mostly because Marvel Phase 7 is the mutant era of the MCU. More X-Men coded, more mutant-based characters in general, and during the series, this is another really big thing, Wonder Man is heavily coded as one of the next mutants in the MCU. Recently, they did something similar with Miss Marvel, where she grew up with powers without knowing about her powers until later and then realized that she was a mutant. The other even bigger example is Namor. During the series, though, the word mutant is never uttered. Nobody talks about his origin story. There's no moment later in life where he got his powers like Spider-Man, the Hulk, or Doorman, another person with powers during the series, where their bodies are mutated by something like the spider bite, Hulk's gamma accident, Doorman gets his powers from rocks and toxic waste. They are all mutates, not mutants, because their bodies were later mutated to give them powers. In order to be a mutant in the MCU, you have to be born with your powers and have the X gene. During the series, Wonder Man seemingly has had his powers from birth, and they manifest one day when he's a little kid, accidentally causing a fire, and he was so afraid of his powers his whole life that he hid them from everyone, but each time he loses control emotionally, he'll just unconsciously use them, which usually manifests in him causing explosions. It's a little more complicated than that, like it's a little more sophisticated. Agent Cleary uses Damage Control's technology to uncover that he can manipulate ions, and that's the more sophisticated way of explaining all of his many different comic book powers he has, and those are part of his comic book powers. This is the reason why he has super strength, durability, a healing factor, speed, Probably a limited form of immortality too, like his aging is now slowed, that he's reached physical maturity, and why he can fly. Now in the comics, his powers get way crazier, like he has energy manipulation, he can give off ionic blasts of energy, he can even shapeshift and teleport himself. But because during the series they introduced the idea of his ionic powers being extremely broad, it makes it possible for them to do some of his weirder powers in the future, bigger powers later on, and it will still totally make sense. Just in terms of power scaling right now, talking about other Marvel superheroes, he's about as powerful, I would say, as Miss Marvel with her bangle. They teased that he never uses his powers and he hasn't ever tried to train them, so if he actually worked at it, he could become more powerful enough to justify him being on a new Avengers team, or even like a West Coast Avengers team. Some of the other big changes to his backstory from the comics too is that he has no prior connection with Scarlet Witch, Vision, the other original Avengers characters, Hank Pym, Ultron, any of those characters.
Word. So you ever meet any famous people or any superheroes?
No, not really.
He does know about the existence of the Avengers and the other common superheroes. The idea is that most of the superheroes in the Marvel Universe, supervillains, are all very public. They're all celebrities, so even regular people down the street without powers know all about them. Most people in the MCU, because of the blip in the snap, know all about Thanos as well too, and the fact that aliens really exist. There are a couple moments earlier in the series too where he makes fun of Captain America, saying that he's just a regular guy that can throw a shield. That's a reference to Sam Wilson's Captain America, because he is just a regular guy without any special powers who does throw a shield technically. But the reason why he's never tried to use his powers to actually join the Avengers, even though he probably could with his level of powers, is because he only cares about being an actor. He's like so focused on that. But at the end of the series, when he finally goes public with his powers to save Trevor Slattery, like he goes into this knowing very clearly that Damage Control is going to come try and arrest him later, but he'll figure it out later. But because he is a mutant, I think it just makes more sense if they do a season 2 for them to wait till after Secret Wars to do it, and after the new X-Men reboot movie when there are mutants all over the MCU, and they can just have him go up against a bunch of mutant-based villains in his season 2. But at least right now, the way that they set the character up, it doesn't really make sense for him to join the new Avengers, and he doesn't join the X-Men team or anything like that. Like, he'll just stay solo and continue to act in movies, be a big actor, just like his comic book persona going back in Marvel Comics. Everybody post all your reactions in the comments below, and if you have any questions about the series that I didn't talk about during this video, just write them below in the comments. What I'll do is I'll wait to see how this video does, and if people dig this series enough, I will do a full breakdown of all the episodes. So if you do want me to do like a full Easter egg breakdown like I would normally do for an entire series of TV, just let me know in the comments. There's also a ton of stuff coming up. We just got the Daredevil Born Again Season 2 trailer. I just did a video for it. Click here for that, and click here for my Invincible Season 4 trailer video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.